watch you every week.
Oh, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so
welcome.
much. You kept me employed for 5 years.
Yeah.
Was that how long the show went on?
Yes, it ran 5 seasons. Yeah.
I feel like it was longer for some reason, but no.
You know, there was a lot to cover in 5 seasons, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it
I
was
can't wait.
76 lives. So,
Oh my goodness. I didn't
Yeah.
realize.
yeah, we did
That's
a lot
insane.
of work.
Yeah.
And what are you doing now?
Guess what, guys?
We're not doctors.
No, we are not.
If you're going to be making any major medical decisions, please consult your doctor.
Yes, and that includes diets, exercise, medications, and surgery.
We love you guys.
And we want you to be in our OSLP family forever.
So be careful
And consult
your doctors. We love ProCare. You guys know this. And guess what? They have a brand new product out and it tastes like an orange Tic Tac.
That's right. I have got it in my hot little hands right now. It's their easy to swallow tablet in Citrus Grove. And both of us have fully switched over to it.
We had to because it's easy to swallow, doesn't stick, and it has 45 milligrams of iron. And we both need that.
Yes, we do. So go to procarenow.com to take care of all your bariatric body needs. And our code is the only one that gets you a full 15% off. So use code OSLP at checkout.
Are you located in the Florida area?
Well, we have the perfect office for you. Dr. Fridley and his wife, Macy, have created the perfect, welcoming, and safe place for your bariatric journey.
That's right. So click on the link below to start your weight loss journey now. And don't forget to tell them that the OSLP's girls sent you.
Welcome back, OSLP family. Welcome back, OSLP family.
Welcome, welcome.
You were listening to our Sleep Life podcast, and this is Kelly.
This is Matt.
And oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Today is a big day.
Today is a huge day.
Yeah.
We
Because
are.
we have a special guest today.
Yes.
And I don't know when this is going to air, but we're probably doing something crazy when this is airing.
Yes. Yes. We're going to have this on, like, I already know we're going to be, like, immediately turning this around because I'm so
100%.
excited for this conversation.
Yes.
Mel, do you want to tell everybody who we're talking to
Yeah,
today?
so if you're on YouTube right now, you would know that we have a special guest. But so that means go download your YouTube, put in our Sleep Life podcast, and hit the bell and subscribe, because you guys would know that we literally have the America's personal trainer from Extreme Weight Loss. We have Chris Powell in the house. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you guys for having me on.
Of course. You were so excited to hear how you started in this and how, like, because you ran 5 seasons on Extreme Weight Loss. And I want to hear, like, how you got that, where it all came from. I want to know everything about you.
Right. Okay.
I love it.
Should we could just dive right in if you want.
Dive right in.
Yeah.
Okay. So, found my love for fitness when I was 14.
Oh.
I was just living north of Portland, Oregon, which you guys know Oregon well, of course, in a place called Vancouver, Washington. It's just like a northern suburb of it. And I had been bullied a lot when I was a kid. When I was younger, I was I was like always the tiniest kid in class. And so I dealt with that a lot from 4th to 7th grade, and then switched high schools, actually, was from California to Oregon. And I was having a really tough time in my first couple of weeks there. Tried out for the football team. I just got my butt handed to me. It was a really rough experience. And my parents just kind of saw that it broke my spirit. So came home from school one day and they had actually cleared out all the living room furniture and they put a weight set in the middle of the living room floor.
Oh, wow.
And that was the beginning of my fitness journey. And at first I didn't know what to do with it. And they left the TV in there. So I just would sit on the bench and watch TV for a couple of weeks. And I just thought, well, I'm just going to go ahead and mess around on this thing a little bit. It turned into an everyday after school thing. I would get home, drop my backpack on the floor, go to the weight bench, and I would always just load up a little bit more weight and see what I could do.
Oh,
And then
wow.
about a month, 2 months in, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is changing my life.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I felt like it empowered me. It gave me my power back because I felt like so much had been taken away from the years of bullying and everything. And I couldn't stop thinking about fitness and about the journey and growing muscle and getting faster and doing all these different things. And so that was where it started. I ended up going down to Arizona State University and I studied exercise science, which was a ton of fun. And, obviously I loved it because it was so applicable as I was like pursuing a completely different career, believe it or not. I thought I was going to be an airline pilot. And so I was yeah, I know this is going to sound weird. I spent years flying airplanes. My dad is a pilot. And so I was following in his footsteps, but deep down inside, I hated flying. I don't trust myself behind the yoke of an airplane. And
That's a big responsibility.
It was a lot. And I mean, I was an instructor. I've got 1,200 hours. I was a multi-engine flight instructor for years and building all my hours. And it was actually, my airline interview was September 13th of 2001. So I actually had an airline that was interested in hiring me. And but if you do the math,
that is wild. That's 2 days after September 11th.
Yes.
And you're going to be trained to be a pilot.
I was going to, that was to go into the airlines. I'd already done all my work and I built all my hours and I was going to go into the regional airlines, into a regional airline. So needless to say, that didn't happen. The airlines fired and furloughed for, years after that. So that, after seeing everything happening on September 11th, I walked into a gym on September 12th and said, I thought, I can't get a job as an airline pilot now. Are you hiring to be for trainers? And then I was like, I have a degree in exercise science. And they're like, you're hired. So that's when I became a trainer, was on September 12th, 2001.
Whoa. You'll never forget that date.
No. I can never forget that day. Exactly.
No.
Oh my
God. That is insane.
Yeah. That was the official day that I started as a trainer. Now I was always training people on and off in the gym, for years prior. But that was the official date of it, was September 13th, when I said, that is not my career. I'm going to go ahead and run toward being a trainer. And so what happened is I ended up, within like 3 months, I had a waiting list of people that wanted to train with me, because I can't help but be passionate about fitness. I just love to teach people while they're going through the movement, to show them that there's nothing to be scared of and that it's a beautiful thing and it's empowering. And so I always had an audience when I was training, because people would always stop and they'd listen and they'd pay attention when I'm working with a client. Before you know, I had a waiting list, and the waiting list kept getting bigger and bigger. And then, so I teamed up with another trainer at the gym. We ended up leaving and creating our own company, and just for personal training. But we needed people to know who we were and where to find us. And so I ended up landing a gig as the Good Morning Arizona fitness guy. Which is fun. It's the number one morning news show out here in Arizona. And so this is like 2000, late 2002 at the time.
Wow.
And so I started doing these Monday morning segments, and it was really interesting though, because I started doing these segments, and I started getting feedback, and email was still relatively new at the time, but people started emailing in, and they were sending emails to the producers trying to get a hold of me. And so the producers would literally print them out and they'd hand them to me when I would come in on Monday mornings, and they would say, hey, 7 people emailed in looking for you. They got their phone numbers on there and their address and everything. So I would start collecting these emails. And what was really interesting about them is that most of the emails I was getting were from people they were like, hey, Chris, I've been watching you on the news for 6 months now. I'm 350 pounds, or I'm 520 pounds. I'm 600 pounds, and I'm struggling and I don't know where to start. And it was just people. And the pattern seemed to be that so many individuals were in the super obese category. But at the same time, even back then, when you hear about these individuals, they're like, I'm 450 pounds, I'm 500 pounds. One of them even wrote, I pride myself on being invisible. I don't go shopping until midnight, and I go to Walmart so that people won't ridicule me. And, and it seemed to be an underlying theme. And I realized there, and this is just a statewide broadcast. And it was a really eye-opening experience for me, because I just thought, there are so many incredible people out there. And the fact that they're writing me asking for help means that they want to change. And every single one said, I don't know where to start. It seems like there's so much. I don't know where to turn. I don't know where to go. And I don't know where to start. And I couldn't stop thinking about that. And one email in particular was from a gentleman who was my age. I was 24 now. He was 25. And he was 630 pounds. And he hadn't left his house in 2 years. And he wrote to me, he just said, hey, the doctor just left my house. He said, I'm not going to see 30 years old. He's like, this isn't the life I wanted for myself. I've been watching you for 6 months. I don't know if you can help me, but help me live a life I've always dreamed of. I want to get married and I want to have kids someday. I want all these things. We're the same age. Is there any way you can help me? And I couldn't stop thinking about that. And he left his address, and I ended up showing up at his house about a week later. And from the moment he answered the door, actually his dad answered the door, let me in. And then he was inside the house. And but we sat down and we ended up talking. And 10 minutes in, we were laughing, having like the best time. We're telling all kinds of jokes. And we actually had the same humor, the same, like he connected like that. It was just like, he was my bro. And I was like, dude, I don't know where this is going to go, but I'll be back on Tuesday, and let's just see what happens. Yeah. And I showed up every other day for 2 years, and he ended up losing 400 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah. And he became one of my best friends. And in fact, we lived together for 2 years after that. I helped him get all the surgeries, eyes, laser, teeth, everything. And he ended up at 230 pounds, kept the weight off for 5 years. For 5 years, he ended up gaining a lot of weight back. So he ended up meeting the front desk girl at LA Fitness as he became a trainer. And
I'll do it.
Then he had his heart broken, and then he ended up turning back to food. And I mean, he went through this crazy journey, but this is where it all started, was going through this journey with one of my best friends of all time, David Smith. And he was such a great dude. And people see, they're like, oh, you helped him lose 400 pounds. I said, no, he completely changed my life as well. He opened up my eyes to what I really feel like my purpose on life here is. And that's just to help people through the journey of transformation. Yeah. However I can. And so that's where it all started, was helping my best friend, David Smith. And then,
oh my goodness, that's incredible. Cause like my brother was 427 pounds.
Yeah.
I was 308 pounds. Like our father just passed right before our transformation from liver cancer. He was only 59. And like the whole family was like that. All the Austins, none of them lived past like 65. Yeah. Wow. So me and him were like, oh shit, we're going to die. Yeah. We're going to die a lot sooner than those. And this is crazy. Right. So I can really relate to David, because it's very scary, because you all of a sudden think that like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do things that I thought I was going to be able to do. Exactly. Yeah. And I know that we all, even Kelly, we all relate to that invisibility. That whole being obese, we don't like to be seen. And a lot of people don't like to look at us anyway. So it kind of goes.
Oh, come on now.
So,
they say those that matter don't mind, and those that mind don't matter.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines.
Exactly.
So true.
Yeah, and I can feel it because I was actually bedridden before I had surgery. Yeah. So I have 4 autoimmune diseases, and they were running rampant at that point because I was just gaining and gaining and gaining, and I was on prednisone, like high doses of prednisone for
that ain't gonna help.
No, for like 4 years I was on
gosh.
everyday prednisone. It was the only thing that would help my pain, and it was so difficult because when you don't leave these 4 walls, you start to go into like a depression. And I was on massive amounts of pain meds as well.
It was wild.
Yeah.
Every Thursday once a month on Thursdays I would see her. And
I wasn't there.
It was so sad.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing for when I decided to have surgery was I didn't want to be stuck anymore. I wanted to be able to live my life. And I can feel the story on David's part, because that's not where I saw my life going, was stuck in a bed. And so I did something about it. And I also want to say, I love that you said, I didn't do it, he did. Yeah. because it takes a lot of guts, not only to reach out, but to actually put the work into creating a new life.
Yeah.
1,000%. I couldn't do a push-up for him. I couldn't eat an apple for him. He chose to do all the work. He did it all.
Yeah.
And really, while I offered guidance, more than anything, my role was to be a supportive friend in the process.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes that's all people need is some love and some support and some friendship and someone who's not going to judge them, but they'll tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, because as long as they know that it's coming from love, that was, at the end of the day, that's what it was. And so, no, you're spot on. Like, it's your life. This is your body, and only one person in the world is going to do the work, and that's you.
Yeah.
And both of you made the choices you've made, and you've put in the work, and I certainly hope it's panning out for you well. I mean, certainly, you sound great, you look great. It sounds like life has gotten a lot better than it was.
Oh, it's hands down.
It's insane how much better it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 9 years post-op.
Yep, and I'm 5.
And she's 5. And we are definitely the epitome of like, hey, we understand what regain is. We understand what like having that food be comfort for you. Losing over 129 pounds and know that you kind of lost almost a friend that like kept you, comfortable and defended you. And it's a hard process.
It is really a hard process. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, it is. It even if you gain weight back, you can still restart. Yeah. It never ends. And I think just learning that about yourself, that you can do whatever needs to be done, because your life just doesn't stop. And the weight's never gone. Like, we would love to lose and have it like go away. Like forever, go away forever, but it's still there in the corner. And so you have to work daily in order to keep that weight off. It doesn't just, I think a lot of people, we see it a lot within the bariatric community, is people will come in and they're gung ho and they're losing all their weight and they're doing really good. And then they kind of like disappear. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, oh, I don't need that anymore. I don't need to do those things anymore. I don't need to keep my liquids and solids separate. I don't need to do these things.
Or just be in the community.
Because they're like, oh, I don't need it anymore. I'm done. And then you see them come back and they've regained, or they're having, mental health issues. Like, you see a lot of it. And then they start to come back a little bit, and then they'll go out again. And it's like, no, you just gotta stay. You gotta stay in it.
Is what helps, I believe. Is that what 100%. You've seen too, Chris?
That what now?
The community and how it can help.
1,000%. That is the real magic ingredient, is support. I couldn't agree more. And the thing is, you mentioned a couple different things. So I know, and I've never been significantly overweight in my life. I have been blessed with the opportunity to have been in the trenches with my best friends, helping them through the journey and listening to them and feeling their pain. And so I think I almost have to qualify myself with that. And one thing I've learned going through this process with them is that we're trying to navigate a lifelong solution. It's not a temporary solution, but a lifelong solution, is that we can't have a conversation about weight loss and physical health without at the same time addressing your mental health and your social health. Yep. So you bring up the power of community. It's an absolute must. And it's not just for a short period of time while you're losing the weight. It's a must forever. You have to be surrounded with other like-minded people who are supporting you in the process. Again, we call them super friends. The friends that will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, that truly have your best interests in mind. Not the friends that will say, oh, come on, let's just go to Buffalo Wild Wings just like you used to. Oh, come on now. No. Sometimes those people are in your life. Sometimes they're family, and you can't get rid of them, but you have to expand your circle to friends who will actually support you in the long run. And you have to have that connection with other people, and surround yourself with like those like-minded people who are going to support that. And are also living that lifestyle themselves. And so I've learned that, because I've helped people through the journey, and I've seen people rebound, and I've seen a lot of people continue with success. And the ones that continue with success are the ones that they've done that. They've surrounded themselves with a loving community and support, whether small or large. It might just be a couple people, and it might be it might be their entire F-45 class or burn boot camp.
Yeah.
And then but it's also the people that continue to do the mental work. And they say, well, hold on, why is it, Mel, I heard you say something about, as you're losing the weight, you lost something that was so familiar to you. You lost a friend. This is where that's so important to have a licensed professional to help guide you and navigate through those processes. Like, why are you feeling that abandonment? Why are you feeling that loss?
Yeah.
Was the weight, was it a blanket of protection for you? Was it, and if, as you lose the weight, are you losing that protection? Are you losing that familiar friend? Are you losing something that was something that you could almost place accountability on when it hurt too much to take it for yourself? Like, these are all questions that I've learned from therapists also, and my people, as they go through the process of because, and I'm sure you might have even experienced this sometimes, like where you're losing the weight and you're excited, but then there's this massive identity crisis.
Yes.
And
100%.
Yes. And you're like, and so you have to look at that, not judging at all, but with childlike curiosity and think, okay, wait, what? There are ways and there are tools that a licensed professional can give you to help you sort through that so you understand yourself better. Yeah. So that you don't need to go back to food and you don't need to withdraw that's an addict behavior. That's any addict, whether it's food, sex, drugs, whatever it is. What do they do when they start to relapse? They withdraw. And and because it hurts to take accountability. Yeah. And so they typically will start pointing the blame, and then they withdraw into their addiction. And then when they finally reemerge, they're in a really dark place again.
Yeah.
And I only say that coming from, I was addicted to opioids for 2 years. I lost everything and I was living out of my car. And so I don't know what it's like to be addicted to drugs or to food. I know what it's like to be addicted to prescription drugs. And I did the same thing. And again, it's not the same kind of addiction. It's a very different one because I can avoid that for the rest of my life. Yeah. Obviously, you need to eat for the rest of your life. So it's a very, very different approach. So I'm not saying that I understand it by any stretch, but I can certainly listen and learn and just try to help as much as I can from what I learned from other professionals to help my people through, Sorry, I didn't mean to go on a rant there, but
you're good.
You brought up really powerful stuff that I think everyone needs to know.
Yeah, I think mental health is one of the things that is not really talked about. It's mainly, especially in our community, we do talk about it some, but it's more weight. It's more
water, protein.
Yeah, it's the pillars, but mental health plays such a key part in being. I mean, I've been in therapy. It's almost been 2 years now, which is freaking crazy. Yeah. And I love my therapist. When you said the childlike curiosity, it made me think of him because that's how he has me approach things.
Yes. Good.
But being with him, I've seen such growth within myself. And I've become this whole different person and the person I want to be versus before where I was dealing with all this trauma that I didn't know I had. Like I had buried it in my brain because I have a superpower. And so I buried it in my brain and I didn't know it was there, but it was present still. And so I was getting triggered and I didn't know. And I wasn't really working on myself back then. I was purely just coping, and part of my coping was food. And so I regained 60 pounds. And that's what happens when you withdraw. You're not in therapy. You're not dealing with your mental health because a lot of us do have trauma that has happened, small, big, whatever it is. Yeah. And we have to talk to somebody about it. And I know there's that stigma against therapy and, I don't need it. Why would I talk to it? It helps so much.
It just helps.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in a bad spot to talk to them. Mm-hmm. Like we've talked to so many therapists and they are like, we would actually rather you come to us when you're not having a crisis because then we can finally see what your ups and downs are and what your triggers are. And I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And with the identity crisis, since I've been in this for 9 years, I told Kelly I was like, it's going to happen around year 2.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. And then, yep, there you go. Immediately. It's because you've lost all the weight and now you're like, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who am I? Yeah. What do I like? Do I like anything? I don't know anymore. So you have to start figuring it out.
Well, and it was extra fun because I was going through my identity crisis at the same time of getting a divorce after 15 years. So yeah, that was real fun. That was a lot of fun for me.
Double whammy.
Yeah.
But if you go into it with childlike curiosity, I'm sure there were moments of childlike curiosity, and I'm sure there were moments of not childlike curiosity where you're just like, F it.
Yeah. I cursed daily,
Boy,
probably during that process.
That's a perfect storm of a lot happening.
Right.
A lot happening.
Yeah.
It's so funny because, like, I know I'm being interviewed, but I've actually got questions for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Kelly, and I hope you don't mind my asking, did you find that as you started to lose the weight, not the weight loss, but the journey of discovering yourself, did that kind of lead to your realization that maybe you were with the wrong person? Or I hope you don't mind my asking.
No, I'm open
because let me tell you,
100%.
I do see this a lot in the folks that I'm helping through the journey. A lot of times they will settle with someone who is not healthy for them or not right for them because they don't feel like they're worthy of anything more, and they deal with a lot. Yeah. And sometimes they just, as soon as they realize that this is possible and I can create a whole new life, this is just, it's a reality of the situation.
Me on that one. Holy moly.
Yes.
Oh, 100%. So she's actually going through a divorce right now.
Okay. So then both of you, please,
yes.
feel free to address this, because I'm sure people who are listening, I can't tell you like how many times they're like, "Oh, to me too,"
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. So my ex-husband actually left me, and so I didn't realize it until, I would say, a year, maybe a year and a half after that. I was just like, oh, I was with the total wrong person for me. Yeah. I was very angry at him for leaving. He did some shitty things, including taking my dogs. And it was a rough time, but I think I didn't see it in the beginning. And I think I didn't want to be that statistic that my marriage fell apart after I had surgery.
Right.
But now I look back and I'm like, oh, thank God he left. Thank God he left, because I'm so much better off. And I'm building this life for myself, by myself. Like, I love it. Like, yes. I can actually say I am finally happy, like super happy within my own life and my own journey.
I'm so happy because I got my friend back.
Yeah.
Because she was kind of like comatose. And then like when she finally took the plunge, I got her all back, not just a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I slowly came back, but then it was, I still didn't know who I was. And I think,
what was the question I asked you? You couldn't even answer it.
Oh, it was, so we did like these, this post on Fridays. It was Fun Fact Friday.
Yeah.
And it was right when we first started the podcast, and we were trying to like let people know who we were. And she's like, what's a fun fact about yourself? And I was like, no, I don't know.
Like, she was like dumbfounded. And I go, Kelly, I can name like 10 right now.
Yeah.
And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, and I just started listing. And she's like, oh.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea what a fun fact for myself was, because I had completely gone through this life where I was stuck in four walls and a marriage that was actually really bad, and I didn't want to admit it. And so I just became, I think, just blind to everything, and I didn't want to, and I just didn't look at inner.
Yeah.
At the inner person that I was. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, with a lot of chaos happening outside of you, it's hard to stop and look inside again, and then have those quiet moments with just you, those quiet, peaceful moments where you're just with that introspection, and you're checking back in. And I hope you've got more of those moments now, which they will only help you continue on your journey of success.
Yeah. And that's, we both love journaling for that reason, because you just sit down and you just write it out, and you're always shocked at what comes out.
Yes. And I just feel better.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, okay, like I've done it. I'll tell you my story after I tell you the story.
Okay.
We got two stories.
Because I've done it to where like I wanted to write this like text, right? But I didn't know how to write it, where to go from. So I just journaled it. And then I actually sat on it for over like 48 hours, because it almost felt like I texted it. It almost felt like it's out, it's done. I don't even have to think about it. So it took me a few days to actually send it. And then I reread it and I was like, oh, that's how I really feel.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to address this.
Yeah.
But for me in my marriage, it's a lot like what you were saying. I just didn't realize it till later. So like we've been married we're technically still married, so it'll be 16 years next month.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
but really like we communicated so well and we were best fucking friends. Like we would talk all night still on the weekends, just like till 3 or 4 in the morning about stuff. So he was a big supporter of me working out. He made all the food for me. Like he was on board with my surgery and me getting healthy. And as I was getting healthy, I'm getting more moments of clarity and talking to myself and thinking about things and realizing like how someone's talking to me and how someone's like treating me. And then unfortunately, he also fell into the opioid problem. Yeah. And he is an addict and he's still an addict. And it's been like that for the last few years. And I even realized, I've helped in this on accident. Like I've been able because I felt that he had a really fucked up back.
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw the x-rays, like 2 freaking discs are out. One's leaning on his spinal cord. Like I get it. Like this man's in pain. So I don't want to see my husband in pain. That's awful. So, but even having the surgeries and then like doing all the things, he just got worse and worse and worse. And he started reverting back to the Eric I met when I was 18. And that Eric I was not a fan of because he was drinking every single day and he was doing the drugs and he was not being nice to me or our kids. So I finally just one day I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm worth so much more now. Like I know what I want. I know what I need. And I had to finally like voice it to him. And it, like now I feel he's been out of the house for 1.5 years. I feel so much better now. I feel like I can be more myself. I can have a routine. No one's making fun of the music I'm listening to. No one's like commenting on the fitness stuff that I'm doing. So it's just, you do finally find yourself and then you realize like, Melanie did this because he was a fun party guy that everybody loved. Yep. I was a heavy woman and I thought, at least the cool guy likes me. Yep. So this is what I'm going to do. And realize I settled because he did like me in a bigger body and he didn't judge me for that. So I was like, okay, this is it. But then I realized, he's pretty toxic. Pretty toxic. So
now do you prep your own foods?
Yeah, I do. Well, I also have my assistant do it too now.
Oh, that's awesome. Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
She preps every Sunday for herself, so she just adds her in to that.
Love it. Meal prep Sundays. Let's go.
Go. They work. And before, like with Eric, he's such a good cook that we would just do it together for a long time. Yeah. So I talk to people about how you need to have some sort of connection with your food because it actually like enriches your brain of like what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I meal prep every Sunday as well.
Nice.
So it's huge. Yes.
I meal plan.
Yes.
I don't like meal prepping, so I meal plan. I have a little menu thing on my fridge and I go through and I'm like, okay, what do I want to eat on what day? What events do I have going on? And then I make a little grocery list. I go shopping or I order food. And it just works better for me because I don't mind leftovers. But I also don't want to eat the same thing all week. So I just do, okay, I'm going to eat this for dinner, but then I'm going to have it for lunch again. So, and it works. It really does.
It works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone kind of finds their own groove. And some people don't like leftovers. And they're like, I just have to eat, every meal's got to be hot and fresh. And others are like, I can meal prep and eat the same thing for 4 days straight.
Yeah.
So you kind of you find what works best for you, right?
Absolutely. And I had a protein shake that I made every morning for 2 years. So it's just, like if you like routine, just do it.
She's a creature of habit. Yep. And I am not. I want it constantly, which is funny because I don't deal well with change, but then I don't want the same thing. So I'm constantly changing things.
Yes. You're constantly battling yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I love change, but I'm like, nope, I'm going to stay in routine.
No. I want to change it up every 5 seconds. Yeah. It's, I think it's a part of my ADHD brain and then part my bipolar. Like I just kind of like do these things, even though I don't like them.
And they're not helpful.
Yes.
And they're not helpful half the time. Yeah. So, or necessary.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I just do it. So,
So Chris, with you, like, how did you get into like the extreme weight loss and like doing all those things
The
for
shows.
Okay. So going back to my buddy, David,
Yeah.
who ended up
David,
losing all the weight. So, and actually like, I think I can circle back and button a few things up here. So
Okay.
after David lost all of his weight, like 2005, and that's when I reached out to my doctor friends and he got all of his incredible surgeries. Then Mel, going back to what happened with your husband, I injured my back in 2006, herniated disc, bulging disc, the whole nine.
Yeah.
Doctor gave me a prescription for Vicodin, and that quickly turned into Percocet, morphine, OxyContin, you name it, whatever I can get my hands on. And so that's when, so from 2006 to 2008 were some really dark years where I started going upside down.
Yep.
I was upside down and I was losing everything. But in the meantime, one of my best buddies, David had lost all this weight and we were hanging out all the time and he's just a great dude. And he saw what was happening to me and he was always checking in on me and I was starting to withdraw. And in 2000, but in that time, probably around 2007, he ended up posting his before and afters because he'd lost 400 pounds and kept it off for a couple of years at this point.
Wow.
And yeah, and it had locally in Arizona, a lot of people were like, oh, dude, Chris and David, like he lost 400 pounds. They'd see us like walking on, because we did a lot of walking. So they'd see us walking on the street. People would honk and wave and everything.
I love it.
It was
That's
really
cute.
cool. And he ended up posting his before and after pics on a social media site that you guys wouldn't know anything about called MySpace.
Oh no, we
were on
MySpace.
MySpace.
Get out.
Yeah, of course.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, I've got to be 15 to 20 years older than the two of you.
You'd be
So-
surprised.
Yeah, we're 38.
Oh, my
not
gosh.
me. I am 37.
37,
Okay.
38. You're like
Still got you by a few years, but nevertheless. Okay, so you guys were young when MySpace was out.
Yes.
So he posted his befores and afters there, and it ended up going viral. And so before you know it, I mean, we were getting calls from 2020, which is, the show back in the day. We were on the Today Show. Oprah flew us out to Chicago to do that. I mean, it was crazy because his story was just, I mean, it was really wild how he lost all this, 400 pounds, and he's a really good looking dude. And so then, and in this process, even though I was struggling with my opioids and everything, we were always like on a mission to get him dates, so we would take him out to the clubs at night and everything. We try to go to get him dates. So, TLC ended up coming out. Oh, well, and so here's what happened in, 2008. That's when I hit my rock bottom and I lost everything and I was living out of my car. And David and his family actually opened up their doors to me and they let me sleep on their couch while I got back on my feet.
wow.
And so that's what people don't realize. They're like, oh, look at everything you did for him. And I go, you have no idea. Like that guy changed my life more than I ever changed his. And so he was there for me, picking me up off of my rock bottom too. And so him and his family, they helped me get back on my feet. And when I did, then I moved into just started renting a little house. He moved in with me. We lived together for 2 years, and which is super cool. And in that time, his story just ended up traveling around the world. And there was a documentary production company from England that came out and they shot a documentary that they sold to TLC, and it was the most watched documentary on TLC in 2009.
Wow.
Yeah, about David. And then they ended up coming out and doing a sequel, and it was crazy. We were on the Today Show just kind of sharing the story because him and we were like, this is insane. We even flew out to Tokyo and did a Japanese game show together. It was like,
way.
It was wild.
Oh, that's like bucket list.
Super,
Like
super
bucket.
cool.
You're like, I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah.
I'm
I'm going.
The whole thing was just crazy, but it was a ton of fun. And in the meantime, I was sober at this point since 2008. And so, he ended up, in this time, after we were on the Today Show, a friend of mine who was a casting producer in LA, she's like, oh my gosh, I just saw you on the Today Show. My boss wants to talk to you. He's the CEO of a production company. And so I get this call from a gentleman from a LA production company. He's like, hey, The Biggest Loser is all the rage. every network is looking for weight loss shows. Can you be the consultant on a show and help us develop a show for a celebrity trainer in Hollywood? They're going to host it, but we just need to know how you do what you do.
Wow.
And because we want to develop a big show for a network. So I was like, yeah, I'll help you guys. I'll consult on the development of a show. So I ended up driving out to LA a handful of times, sat there in front of the whiteboard, mapped the whole concept of, phases and how to take people through the journey of transformation and what it would look like. But after that, no joke, we went through development for a couple months, and then I didn't hear anything from him. And I thought it was the opportunity was gone. And then I get a random phone call out of the blue, and it's the CEO of the production company. He's like, dude, we just sold your show. I'm like, awesome. I mean, congratulations.
Yeah.
Because I was a consultant on the development of the show. I just came in there and showed him how we do what we do. And I was like, hey, here's the flagpole moments. Here's how we would do the weigh-ins. And he's like, no. Because I said, my response was, go team. I was like, that's awesome. Go team. And he goes, no, dude, you don't get it. We just sold your show. It was a bidding war between a couple different networks. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. I'm so glad we created something that they felt was going to be valuable. He's like, well, no, dude, you don't get it. He's like, this is a really big deal. He's like, of all the networks, ABC bought your show. And I was like, whoa, this is so cool. Go team. And then it's quiet. And I go, wait, so who's the host? And there's like this long drawn out pause. And he goes, you are.
It's like I'm saying it's your show.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he's like, they looked at all the other footage of the other trainers and they didn't want anyone else. I said, no one cares like you do. And I was like, wait, so what does this mean? And he goes, well, it means pack your bags. You're leaving in 5 weeks. And that was it. And David was in the house and he's sitting 10 feet away. And I'm like, I'm looking over at him. I'm freaking out.
100%.
So that was the beginning of that's how Extreme came about. And now here's the thing. It was originally called Obese. It was a serious docuseries about the journey of transformation, not from just the physical aspect, but the mental and emotional aspect as well. And we were wanting to tell a very real story. Yeah. And when ABC, they saw that after we started filming the first 3 months of it, they're like, this is not obese. They're like, this is a feel good. Like, this is about people working hard and overcoming and becoming someone, becoming who they are. And they said, this is Extreme. This is the Extreme Makeover. We want to tie it into the franchise of Extreme Makeover. So it became Extreme Makeover Weight Loss Edition. So
that's how that came.
That's so
cool. That's how it all came about, because it was part of the Extreme Makeover franchise. And so, and then we did 5 years and 76 transformations, and it was an amazing ride.
That's incredible.
What was your favorite moment over those 5 years?
That's a tough question.
That's a lot. I know, but I want to know.
Yes. I mean, there were. I've probably got 100 favorite moments, but I would probably say one of the most. I mean, if I was going to go back to memorable, it would have been, and this one it was just a huge victory. There was Bruce in season 4 when he confronted his father in prison. His father had sexually abused him and many other boys his whole life growing up, and caused just as you can imagine an incredible amount of trauma for Bruce and for so many others. And he was in prison and he was up for parole. And I mean, this all happened the year of his transformation. And so they actually allowed us into the courtroom. So we actually sat with Bruce and supported him as he went to the courtroom and confronted his father for the first time. And it was one of the greatest turning points that I've ever seen from in any transformation, for him to be able to go and speak to his father to his face and clear so much of his past. And he forgave his father in that moment, but he also turned around and told the court that he should not be released.
Yeah.
And he told his dad that he's like, I forgive you, I love you, but you're a danger to yourself and everybody else. And he turned to the court and he asked them to keep him in. And it was profoundly life-changing because of the level of compassion that he showed his father, and the fact, and it wasn't forgiveness because there was an audience. It was truly heartfelt. And there was a moment like that where you really feel the power of forgiveness, because it was also from that moment on that he was like unstoppable. It
Yeah.
was like someone lifted a 500-pound weight off his shoulders.
Oh.
And and it was
That's how powerful
really,
trauma can be.
Yeah.
I had goosebumps when you were talking because
Yeah.
I remember Bruce when
Yeah.
I was watching it with my mom, and I was like as you started talking, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like,
yeah,
that's intense.
that was the fact that they even let cameras in the courtroom was amazing, but
Yeah.
it was a really, I went through my own change actually in the courtroom, because I don't know if you ever remember, but the camera kept panning over to me, and I looked like I wanted to jump over the rail and literally hit the guy over the head with a hammer.
Yeah.
Like I looked like I just was so upset.
Yeah.
And then after Bruce spoke, I was like just next to tears, and like the whole demeanor, everyone's demeanor changed. And it was like, whoa, like that's the power of forgiveness right there. And it was such a lesson, and not just the power of forgiving other people, but also the power of forgiving yourself, and the power of just like, holy smokes, guys, like forgiveness is a powerful tool in the process,
Really.
forgiving yourself and forgiving others. It's huge.
I think that forgiveness of yourself is one of the biggest pieces of any weight loss or journey
that you're on.
No matter how you do it, no matter where you are in it, forgiving yourself for what was done in the past,
whether it was done to you or you did it.
Yeah, I think it's huge.
Huge.
Because I know a lot of us that have been obese, we take on this thought of, well, we did it to ourselves, we deserved to be obese.
Mhm.
And that it just isn't true, because like Mel said, that was your friend. That food, that addiction to food kept you safe. And your brain was like, no, we're going to keep you safe. We don't want you stressing out. We don't want you dealing with all of this. Yeah. So we're just going to eat.
Mhm.
And so there's a level of forgiveness of like, that did me well back then. It protected me. But I can say goodbye to it, and I can heal inside and forgive myself for whatever happened in the past, because that's not where I'm at anymore.
Absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
it should be,
And it,
like-
it removes all that guilt and the shame, which
Yes.
fuels the addiction that much more.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And it's just,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
and that
it's
can
so
go for
powerful.
all sorts of your life.
Yeah.
Like, not just with any type of addiction. Like, it
Right.
could be literally like, me and Kel have been friends for 25 years.
Yeah.
And I have to forgive myself with her. I have to forgive her, like, for us to keep going in this life together. I think it goes with any relationships.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you have, like, we've let a lot of people go.
We have.
You just have to sometimes. And like
Yeah.
you said, you have to be around like-minded people.
Yep.
Right.
And you really do. If you want to be successful in anything, like your work, singing, like, doing this, being a podcaster, weight loss, you got to surround yourself with people that understand you and what you're trying to do and
Yep.
know how to talk to you. And it's okay to let people go. Family or friends.
Yeah.
We've done both.
Yep. Yep.
And spouses. Like, you
Right.
just have to let go of people because they're not going to actually help you in your overall health.
Right.
I think that's what's important.
Yeah. And I think forgiving people that did you wrong or caused you trauma, no matter what level of trauma, that's another key piece. You were saying how he forgave him. And I think there's a difference between letting it go, because I'm actually learning how to let go of trauma, and I'm learning to let go of what happened in the past. But I think there's also a difference between letting it go and forgiving it. Forgiving them.
Mhm.
Even though they were a shitty human and they did shitty things, forgiving them and being like, I forgive you. What happened is what happened. I don't want you in my life. I don't care if I ever see you again, but I forgive you for what you did. And I think that healing Like that is a very deep level for me. I can feel
Kelly's
that.
getting emotional.
I am not going to cry.
No,
I'm
I said
not gonna-
emotional. I said emotional.
but it hits
I
me
saw
in
in
a
the
very
eyes.
deep level because
Mhm.
that's kind of where I'm at, is like forgiving that.
Yeah, learn
Yes.
That it happened. It
Yeah.
happened and I've accepted it. And I'm going to say, you're a shitty human. I don't like you. I actually hate you in some ways,
Mhm.
but I'm going to forgive you because I'm not going to hold on to this for the rest of my life. And it's actually done me worse holding on to it than forgiving him and letting it go.
Well, we call that
Absolutely.
rinse space. You don't get to have free rinse space.
Yeah.
Rinse
Right?
space in your
No,
brain.
Yeah.
no.
Not
And
anymore.
forgiving is not forgetting by
Yeah.
any stretch. It's
Yeah.
saying, okay, I'm, and they always say, forgiveness is more for you than it is for them.
Yeah.
It's just saying, look, I'm not going to forget this. And by the way, though, I wish you peace from it. I wish me peace from it. Now let's move on. You're not invited back into my life, but it is what it is, and
Yeah.
I wish you peace from it and let's move on, and then letting it go. Yeah. And like you were saying, no more rent space. No.
No
Yeah.
more rinse space, people.
No.
Yeah. No more rent space in my head because you're not an active part of my life anymore.
No.
Like, I don't have to
Absolutely.
listen to you. I don't have to deal with the bullshit that you put me through. I can
Yeah.
literally just live my life the way I want to live my life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, and I
Yes.
think a lot of people within weight loss journeys, transformations, they get to that point of like, I can live my life the way I want to live it. And I don't have to take your voice into account when I
Right.
do these things.
And
Right.
that's probably why divorce does happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen a lot of divorce within the transformations? Because you said you've seen 76.
I have. I've seen it's really one of two directions that people go. Either the significant other really embraces the journey and then they grow even stronger together. I've
Yeah.
seen that, and it's freaking beautiful when it happens. It's the coolest thing ever. And you watch their relationship grow stronger than they even ever believed was possible.
Yeah.
But then I've seen the opposite as well. And I've seen it on both sides. I've seen what I've witnessed a lot is one individual who's embracing a journey of transformation for themselves, but then there's the sabotage coming from their partner.
Yeah.
And it's and I know how frustrating that can definitely get, and difficult, because there's like that partner can usually have some of the loudest voice as far as an influence on that individual. And they can really make life miserable for that person who's trying to go through the change. And then if you start to, again, look at what the partner is doing with childlike curiosity, like we mentioned, you can start to see either they're not, it's either shining a big spotlight on areas where they feel inadequate. Maybe they're struggling with their weight as well. Or one thing that I witnessed a lot was, of course, their fears of their spouse or their partner losing the weight and leaving them.
Yeah.
And I've seen that as well, because the relationship wasn't, I guess, what some would say healthy in the first place. Not that I'm to say, well, that's a healthy relationship, and that's not, but you can see some red flags in there.
For sure.
And you see, okay, one person is losing the weight because they want out. It's like, well, they want to change their life, but at the same time, what's happening here doesn't seem to be healthy communication. It doesn't seem to be a healthy, respectful relationship. Right. So, like, and having been brought into a lot of lives over the last 20 years, I got to witness and observe a lot of relationship dynamics.
Yeah.
So I've seen it all. Yeah. I've seen it on both sides. And so it's been really interesting. And, I always come into any kind of transformation when I'm working with someone who does have a partner, hoping that they're going to have that supportive partner, that they're both going to embrace it, and they're both going to go, lock arms and just do this together, which is just, again, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always happen that way, I would say. And unfortunately, I would say, I couldn't put a number on it, but that's not the majority of the time. I'll put it that way.
Right. Yeah. Are you still helping people with transformations outside of the extreme weight loss?
So I am, as of recent.
Oh.
So yeah. So actually after the show, I ended up building this huge platform. It was a digital platform. It was an app which that then turned into a supplement company and coaching and everything like that. And it really got some traction. Then I went through a divorce.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yes. And so it was years taking everything apart. And I hadn't worked, and while we were doing that, we ran some challenges and stuff like that, but it was never really, it wasn't nearly as hands-on as I ever was with the show or anything like that. But then, actually earlier this year, I was like, you know what? I want to just take on a group of people through a journey of transformation. And I just want to teach them some methods right now. So I did an 8-week challenge, but it was the most involved I've ever been with a group of people in almost 10 years. And it was super cool. I mean, 3 weeks in, they'd already lost over 1,000 pounds. I mean, it was,
Look at that.
it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah.
There was 200, there's 330 plus people in it, but only, just over 200 were submitting their weights. And like, it was really cool. Just helping them through.
Yeah.
And then, then as they were going through that, they're like, well, we don't want this to end. And so then I ended up starting, their own little exclusive group just for people who've gone through the class.
Yeah.
Okay.
I call it a challenge, but it's a really intensive course where we just cover everything top to bottom. Like, it's kind of, I don't know if you know the term, like soup to nuts, right? Of just we cover all the tactical stuff, and then we start getting into the mindset side of things, because it's like, again, you can't have one without the other. But everyone comes in because they want to learn the tactical stuff.
Yes,
what do I eat? What do I do? What do I drink? What do I, all these different things. And it's like, okay, then everyone's drinking from the fire hose at first, and it's awesome. But then we have to start getting into the mental aspect of it, so that they can foresee some of these psychological pitfalls that are ahead of them, and we can prepare them for them before they actually happen. Which is super important. Yeah, so I'm back in the saddle, helping people through the journey of transformation, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you light up when you talk about it, so you can tell like this is your passion.
Oh yeah,
100%. Because I was on the website, and you have like a 10 tips or 10 steps to like keeping your promise to yourself.
Yeah, 10 pillars of wellness, if you will, right? So there's nutrition and training and sleep and hydration, and then sleep, of course, but then there's also the stress management side of things, which is breathing and mindfulness and gratitude and acts of kindness. And so people don't realize how powerful those different things are in your life, because if you can manage your stress better, if you're doing acts of kindness and you're actually doing a gratitude practice, which it's been shown to permanently, like not permanently, but if you practice it on a regular basis, you can actually start to wire your brain to see more things to be grateful for throughout the day, which then can take you out of a negative place. So if you're managing your stress that way, and you're seeing things in a more positive, mindful way, you are less likely to be overwhelmed by stress, in which case, what do most people do when they're overwhelmed with stress? They turn to what's going to numb it.
Yeah.
They're going to eat. So it's like, wait a second, all this stuff works together. It
really does.
Absolutely. And then, or if you're in the middle of it, and here's a good breathing technique that you can do so you don't go into the red zone, and then subconsciously, you open your eyes and you're in the middle of the pantry going bananas. No, what if you actually took a step back and you did a breathing exercise, you had a mindful moment, and now you're in control. You could do the 3 R's of habit formation, which is a, reminder, routine, and reward, so it's like all these different things. Yeah. And I wish I didn't come up with any of this stuff. I just follow the pros, so a lot of that I got from like Paul Conti, who's the head of psychology at Harvard. And it's because he's changed thousands of lives, but just doing these really beautifully simple tactics, but it's like very real life application that you can apply. And I'm like, I need to share this with my peeps.
Yeah.
And I talk to them and they go, oh my gosh, I had a fight with my husband, I clap, I did all these different things. And they're like, and it worked. I was like, whoa, go figure. So anyway.
Yeah, right. There's so much studies that go into things like that, that you're like, yeah, it does actually work.
I know. Like, to get me to go to sleep, my therapist was like, clench every part of your body and release. Go from top to bottom and bottom to top. Yes. And she's like, Melanie, you're going to all of a sudden be asleep and into a deep sleep. And I was like, no way. And then, I anytime we're traveling too for work, and I was like, I cannot sleep. I just start doing that until like I'm just out, because I need to sleep, especially when we're traveling and doing podcasts and doing live shows.
Yeah.
We have to be up on that sleep. And we try to teach as much as we can about sleep because we know it helps really well with your weight loss and your mental health at the same time. So.
Big time. Big time. I mean, sleep that's the foundation of everything. You know, I didn't value sleep nearly as much as I should have for myself or for my people till 4 or 5 years ago when I really started diving into it. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, there is so much that I would do differently now but I'm a perpetual student. I'll never know all the answers, but I'll just keep looking for them. And that's why like my approach has changed so much over the years. But yeah, sleep it's paramount.
I love that you do pillars because we do pillars.
Yeah, we do pillars.
So we actually
cool.
have the 5 pillars of bariatrics, which is sleep, vitamins, protein, hydration, and then mental health movement.
I love it. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You need a 6th one. You got to throw mental health in there then.
Right? Yeah. And I was actually thinking we should add a 7. Well, I was thinking 6th until you said that. 7 of forgiveness.
That's huge. It's
right?
Huge. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so
yes.
per Chris Powell, we're adding a 6th and 7th pillar.
Right.
I love it.
Yes. I love this. So what has been the big changes that you are now doing differently for transformation?
So I used to be, I'll just say I was a zealot when it came to, I mean, early on, I was extremely strict in my approach. And it was no processed foods, no diet sodas, and it was like, it was the old school mentality of, you got to keep it clean, and it was really clean. Now, I also, early on, even with David, he did teach me there was some flexibility. And that's where my whole carb cycling concept came from, because I wanted to teach him how to eat pizza and still lose the weight.
Nice.
So I would allow him to have it like every other day. And then sometimes we would have a reward day or a refeed day. We were constantly playing around with different cycles that would allow him a regular reward. But it was my approach was still very strict. And then it was also really strict thinking that I was adamant about the fact that it had to be carb cycling. That was going to get the best results. I realized, carb cycling is great. At the end of the day, as long as you're at a calorie deficit and as long as you're hitting your protein targets, it's going to put you in a good position. I also realized there is no one size fits all. Some people respond really well to plant-based. Some people respond really well to, a keto style diet. Some people, especially if they've had gastric bypass or a sleeve or whatever, they're going to respond to different things. Everyone is so uniquely different. So there's a few different foundational things. And I call them the borders, of this blank palette, right? And as long as you stay within a calorie deficit and as long as you're hitting your protein targets, you are the artist and you can paint whatever you want on this.
I like that.
Yeah. And you get to create your own masterpiece of a lifestyle that works for you. But as long as you just stay within the borders. And so whereas before, I literally gave you the painting and I was like, you're going to stare at this all day, every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work. And then also I've learned really, again, not through my own formal education, just from working because we had a team of psychiatrists and psychologists on the show. And I've built some amazing relationships. So really learning about the mental side of things and incorporating that into my approach as well. That's changed a lot. But the importance of sleep has changed a lot. The importance of, those are the pillars I mentioned with breathing and mindfulness and gratitude and acts of kindness. Those are huge. My thoughts about cardio have changed significantly.
Wow.
High intensity interval training, all of that. I've actually scraped so much of that off of my approach. I give it to people that love that kind of training, but only to people that love that kind of training. Because that's actually, we can get people to where they want to go with less time and less effort. Just utilizing classic bodybuilding principles to stimulate muscle so they don't lose the muscle during the weight loss process. Yeah. But also, as far as movement goes, I scale way back on cardio and I'm just a huge walking fan now. So we just come up with all these different tactics to keep people moving throughout the day because they found like the more cardio you do, the more non-exercise activity thermogenesis you do. So like basically you do a bunch of bouts of cardio, you're less likely to kind of move and fidget throughout the day, which often accounts for even more calories. So yeah, so I'm a huge proponent of walking pads for my peeps. And so like
Got one. I just need to use it.
I've already put in over 10,000 steps on mine today before noon. I mean, I'm telling you, I literally just sit there and I just work away at 2.0 and time flies and I'm just cranking steps. But so my peeps too, like huge on all that. Like I love learning this stuff. So I'm always in it, always learning as much as I possibly can and then applying that to, and my sole focus is like, how can I help them get there in the least amount of time and with the least amount of effort? Because there's a lot of ways to do it.
I like that approach. Because even when I'm with Kelly and we're in Disney World or Disneyland, because she loves Disney, I love it. Like, she can see me panic when I think we're going the wrong way. Because in my head, I'm like, that means we have to take all those fucking steps back to get to the like, this is insane. It's so hot here.
But the other half of that is that she disagrees with me.
I do.
And then we go the wrong way. And then we use double the steps than if she had just trusted me and let me lead her.
I know, my anxiety gets the best of me.
I know where I'm going in Disney.
Well, the silver lining is that you got that many more steps.
I did.
So,
we did 15,000.
15,000 in Disney
There you
World.
go.
Yeah.
And that's only because we bailed out even earlier than what we wanted.
Yeah, it was hot and it was my birthday, and so I wanted to spend it in Disney World, and so that's what we did. But we had an early flight the next day, and I was just like, you know what? I had a good day. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go.
We had breakfast at the Cinderella Castle.
We did.
I was melted. Awesome. I had zero makeup on by the time I got there.
Yeah.
I embarrassed myself in front of Jasmine, but it's fine.
You did embarrass yourself in front of Jasmine.
Disneyland or Disney World?
World.
Oh, so you're Florida, so it's humid and hot. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're from Oregon, right? We live in Oregon, though.
I was going to say, you're not used to that.
No.
Well, I don't melt.
Somehow she doesn't sweat. I was
like, I don't put my hair up. I don't do any of that. And I'm just like, okay.
I was literally hair up, dying.
Oh, yeah.
Eyeliner down my face.
She was a mess. She can't hang.
I can't.
Yeah, but it's Disney World. You just, it's worth it.
Oh, in my opinion. She's like,
I'm done for a little over a year.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. We've gone 3 times this year.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like a punk rock girl. Like this weekend, I'm going to go see NoFX, their final tour. And I'm like, yes, get me back to my roots because I am not a Disney.
That's awesome.
And I'm already planning my next Disney trip. So
awesome. I love it.
I think that's also something with a transformation is you figure out what you love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
what you truly
things like
love.
that. Like I don't care if anybody goes to Disney with me. I go because it makes me happy and I feel happy there. So that's where I'm going to go.
Yep.
You love comedy and shows.
Yes.
So that's
jumping up and down and getting in it and singing the songs together and laughing at shows.
I love it.
It's amazing. I need to still do. I did not do my 9-year goal. I did not go do an open mic. I mean,
that's been your goal for like the last 5 years.
I know. I need to go.
What was the goal?
To go do an open mic.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's gangster right there. That really is.
I already had like 3 or 4 bits written. I just need to go practice.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's awesome.
They're ready. And I've been watching Kill Tony, which is actually helping me because all he does is pull up 1-minute open micers.
Oh.
So we need to talk off air about going to Texas.
There you go. Just start small. Just do a 1-minute open mic. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we're all over the place, so it doesn't bother me. Yeah. We're home for actually 8 weeks right now.
I know.
Which is perfect because I just got a puppy.
Oh, it's very necessary.
He's actually, let me show him.
And I just cleaned my pool yesterday. So I was inside of that.
Come say hi to Chris Powell.
Oh my gosh. Is that that's not a Welsh corgi, is it?
He's a corgi.
He is a corgi. Okay. My screen's really small right now. I can't believe I actually called that. So he's a corgi, huh? That's awesome. Oh, what a cute dog.
His name is Flynn Ryder.
Flynn Ryder from Tangled.
That's awesome. Oh, you say Flynn Ryder?
Yep.
Oh, that's from Rapunzel.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna name him Pickle Junior. But then when there's no Pickle Senior, I just like the name Pickle Junior because then you can do
That's
PJ.
awesome. Yeah.
But when I picked him out, I was like, "You're not a pickle,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "You know what? You're a Flynn. You're a Flynn
That's a
Rider,
cool name. That's a
and
really
he's
cool
That's a
spicy.
name.
good one.
He's
Oh,
spicy."
my daughter would love that. Rapunzel, that's her favorite of all the Disney shows.
Aw, that's so cute.
Yeah.
How old's your daughter?
She's 10.
Oh, that's
Oh,
a good age.
that's so fun. That's
Yeah.
when they really start to get their
Yeah,
personality
and
too.
enjoy it until they're 13.
Yeah. My son just turned 13. And so we're
Oh,
we're cross,
bro.
but it's different between the boys and the girls a little bit. And so yeah. So
So I have an
What?
18-year-old boy who just
Okay.
graduated high school.
wow.
And what's interesting about the boys is that they do get emotional. And it's very adorable. So like
it's very
it is. Just give them hugs and loves.
Yeah.
They don't understand what's happening either half the time.
Right.
So, and you have to remember they're teenagers.
And then you
Yes.
have the girls who are insane.
Yeah.
They're insane.
Slamming the doors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't. So I have two bonus daughters.
Mm.
One's 18 and one is almost 16, which God help the world when she turns 16.
Wow.
But they're both like, they're amazing humans. But Lord, I can't tell you how many times I've had a door slammed in my face. Like,
yeah.
and I mean, Zach will just come in and take the door off the hinges when it happens. So she's lost it so many times. And she's like, she just happens to be standing there when I slam it.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay.
Right.
You know, that does create a question for me, for you, Chris. Is like,
Yeah.
how did you help those that had families? Like, how was that approached? Because it's
Yeah.
different.
It is. And because here's the thing also, there is the approach on the show, but I'll talk about the approach in real life.
Yeah.
Just because, a lot of times when the kids are really young, it's a lot easier because I was like, hey, you control the food that's coming into the house. So
Thank
Thank you. I'm
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, a lot of times kids don't know that they don't always want to make their own decisions. Like, I can't tell you how many times I see these parents, asking their 5-year-old, what do you want me to, what do you want to eat? What do you want to do this? It's like, no. Hey, tonight we're eating some rice, some, chicken marsala. I'm going to make it delicious and some broccoli. Well, I don't want it. Well, you're going to eat it anyway. And if you don't eat, well then, and by the way, it's going to sit there. I'll put it in the fridge. And if you get hungry later, then that's what you're going to eat, know? And then eventually they try it. They're like, well, that's pretty good. Hey, can we have some chicken marsala later? When they're younger, you call the shots. You control the food that's in and out of the house.
Yeah.
As they get older, it gets a lot more difficult. And that's actually where, because they can start to bring in whatever the heck they want when they're teenagers and everything. And so a lot of times I would always encourage people to kind of have their place to keep their food, and then their kids can have their own little spot, depending on the situation. And so, so the kids could have a designated spot in the pantry, in the fridge, etc. And then you can have your own. So, but I really started doing, and that is a tactic. That's a tactic, especially if they're not willing to make any changes. I also started to realize that I can help people lose weight without such a strict approach of, chicken breast and broccoli and all this other stuff. And so in my own meal prep, and the only reason that I really started getting into this is because I love food myself. And I work out a lot so that I can eat more calories. Okay. So for years, I started playing around with my own recipes, and I love making chocolate puddings. I love making different cakes. I like making food that tastes really, really good. And so I started sharing some of those recipes with my peeps. And now they're like, dude, my whole family, this is all they want to eat. So I showed them how to make chocolate pudding with like Jello chocolate and Fairlife protein shakes. And so now everyone's making their chocolate pudding. We just did, we do
Fairlife too. Yeah.
Oh, it's freaking amazing, right? And by the way, have you ever blended it with a box of Jello chocolate? And then it makes 3 chocolate puddings that are insanely volumized, like this big, like in tubs this big. And I can drink a Fairlife chocolate shake in about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I can sit there and I can eat this for 15 minutes. And I just,
Nice.
so it's all about volume eating.
Yeah.
So I started showing them all these massive, like these huge volume eating, like tips and tactics. You know,
Okay.
we're actually doing a lemon pudding mug cake on Saturday. And it's freaking insane. And so we get like this frosted lemonade meal replacement shake, mix it with pancake batter, and we cook it in these mugs. You throw it in there and we pour lemon pudding over the top of it and you eat it. And the cake is hot and the pudding is cold. I'm telling you guys.
You would love that.
And
She loves lemon.
it's got 35 grams of protein. It's got 27 grams of carbs and 5 grams of fat. And it's like 340 calories. Like,
Yes, please.
it's delicious food. I do this air fried cornflake chicken and everyone swears like when it comes out hot, it's like KFC. That's them, not me. That's what they're saying. So we do chicken. We do these chicken sandwiches. I showed them how to make chicken parm, where we take the air fried chicken, we throw it on a bed of like whole wheat noodles. And then we'll throw in like ham, mozzarella cheese, a bunch of marinara sauce, throw it in the microwave, and it cooks like the most delicious chicken parm. Like, so here's the thing. I stopped eating shit food and I started making food that's freaking delicious, just using meal prep tools like air fryers, slow cookers, oven baked stuff, and a blender and a Ninja Creamy. We started doing creamy ice creams. Like, holy shit. It's they're game changers for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's how all these people are dropping weight like crazy, because they're like, I didn't realize I could eat my comfort foods, but like high protein versions of them. And I'm full all day long. And I've lost 25 pounds in 8 weeks. They're like, this is insane.
Yes.
And so that's kind of our thing now. So like, I don't battle kids want to eat this, parents want to eat this so much anymore, because I'm like, yo, let's make some mac and cheese.
Yeah.
And we're going to blend cottage cheese till it's smooth. We're going to whip in some cream cheese. We're going to throw in a bunch of reduced fat cheddar, and we're going to use some powdered cheddar on that. And we make this super cheesy sauce, pour it over the noodles, throw in some bacon bits, which really aren't that high in fat at all.
Yeah.
And then we could mix in chicken chunks and everything. And they're like, my kids are going bananas for this food, and I'm eating it too. And I'm like, all right, we're onto something here. So
that's what we do on Thursdays.
So Thursday night lives, everybody listening, tune in, because we make food.
Yeah.
Every Thursday.
Yeah.
To show people how it can be easy.
And we do high protein meals.
Yeah.
And it's great because I've actually taken many of those meals and incorporated them into my weekly meals.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. And I discovered since we started cooking, the whole cottage cheese blended up.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
I use it for my ranch, my avocado ranch. I use it for sauces. Like, it is crazy good for you. And I'm like, I get the big Costco tub. I just blend it up, and then I just use it whenever I need it. And
so you already have it blended, ready to go for whenever.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah. I pre-plan that. And thank you. And I pre-plan it because that's what works for my journey. I've learned that I have to pre-plan, because if I'm just willy-nilly working through my day, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to order fast food because I didn't have anything planned for that day. I'm not going to follow my routine, all of these things. And so if I pre-plan, like even the night before, I know that the next day is going to be better and I'm going to be on point.
And you feel more security with that. You're like, I know what I'm having. Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time.
About that. We're excited about past Mel, looking out for future Mel.
Yeah.
Like, we're very excited.
Well, and we work with a company called Just Meats.
Yes.
And they literally, it's literally the name, Just Meats. Yeah. They pre-cook it. They flash freeze it. Yep. And then they send it to your door
with the marinade that it was cooked in.
And it is so amazing. Good. Yeah. Like, it is not dry. It is not any of that. And so that's what I use for my meals during the week. So I'll take out like a thing of chicken, and then I change it up every day and turn it into something else. Chicken mac and cheese, or, chicken marsala, whatever I want to make.
Yeah.
And then I change it up, and then I have it for leftovers
too.
Then
you getting tons of protein. And
tons of protein.
Like, that's the biggest deal.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's at justmeats.com. Use OSLP25.
Yes. If you want it. I was not like super excited about that when they reached out. I was like, it's going to be dry. It's going to be.
I was like very excited.
And then when we tried it, I was like, okay, I'm hooked. I can't never have this. And I love not having to shop for meat in the store or cut it up or touch raw meat. I love it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the raw people that don't even touch raw meat. This is like perfect.
It's perfect.
So I know a
Mhm.
few people that are like that. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like that. I use gloves all the time.
She does. She steals
Mhm.
my gloves.
I do. I'm like, I can't. I can
Yeah.
just do more as a cook if I have gloves on. I feel way
Nice.
more secure in the
Yes.
kitchen. So. But how do people get to you and like
Your cooking and your challenges
and all that kind of stuff?
So you can find me on at any of my social platforms at realchrispowell.com. Or I'm sorry, just my social platforms is Real Chris Powell.
Okay.
Yes,
The website is chrispowell.com, and that's where you can go to actually we got a waiting list for the next challenge that's going to be coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be launching it in late July, and so if people want to join that, they can jump in there. They can go through. It's a 4-week solid course, and from there, then we do all of our meal prep on Sunday together. So we do the live meal prep on Sundays.
Oh,
Yes,
cool.
yes. So again, you can find me on chrispowell.com, and that's where you can sign up for any courses that you might be interested in, or just follow me on social at Real Chris Powell.
I
And we'll
love
have
it.
all of that in the description notes, so you guys can just click and go.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about it. This has been such a great episode. We've
Yes.
gone all over the place. Like we've laughed, we've cried, like we've entertained each other.
You cried. I did.
I didn't cry.
You were.
I called you out on it.
Close.
I was like, your eyes are bubbling.
I saw the tears in your eyes, and your mouth did that thing that you do right before you cry.
Oh my gosh, she's been calling out the things that I do now, like what my laugh is. She coined my laugh perfectly.
That's amazing. That's good.
Because she does it like when we're on an airplane. She'll be watching a movie and she's like,
That's awesome.
It's so true. I'm like that person on the airplane that's watching something, and I do just straight up laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
I'm not gonna just not laugh.
yeah,
Well,
it's pretty
the two of
entertaining.
you have known each other for so long. I'm sure you've probably picked up on all of your mannerisms.
Yes.
Most of them.
You know,
Yeah.
it was just, I didn't realize you picked up on mine. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Where were we? We were at ASMBS.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I can do her laugh. And she's like, oh my god,
Nailed it.
Be entertaining.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being on.
Yes.
I can't even express our gratefulness for
Our
this
gratitude.
conversation.
Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure.
All right. We love you guys, and we will see you
Next time.
Bye.